Hi, everyone. It is great to have all of you here today. My name is Ella. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the academic advisors in the LFS Student Services Office. And it is my pleasure to welcome you and congratulate you on your admission to the Faculty of Land and Food Systems at UBC. You're here to learn a little bit more about the faculty and your programs and your next steps if you decide to attend UBC and be a student in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. Before we go any further, I do want to start by acknowledging that UBC's Vancouver campus is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nation. Particularly for us as the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, that connection to the land that we learn on and that we live on is so important. We are really committed as a faculty to working with Indigenous communities and students alike in our curriculum and research. We know that there's so much that we gain from being able to access this land and learn in this wonderful place. And that's something that you'll get to learn all about as a student within the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. I know some of you are joining us from the local area. We also have students joining us from all around the world. So I encourage you to take a moment and think about the traditional keepers of the lands that you reside on and how you get benefit from being able to access those lands today. Before we go any further, I'm almost certain that for none of you today, this will be your first time on Zoom, but we've got a few different pieces that we want to point out today. We'll ask you to keep muted through the presentation so that we can hear our speakers. We will have time for questions later on, and you'll be able to unmute and ask questions at that time if you'd like. We'll also have some times where we ask you to annotate and share on the screen a little bit. So you can access the annotation menu at the top of the page. And we're going to give that a try right now. So I know we've got over 40 people in our meeting right now. So we want to know, where are you joining us from? Feel free to turn on annotation and put a stamp on the map to indicate where you're joining us from. I am not actually on campus today. I'm joining you from my home office in East Vancouver. And I'm originally from just outside of Vancouver in a city called Port Moody, BC. If anyone else is from Port Moody, Wing, one of our students here today, is also from Port Moody. So we've got a good Port Moody contingent. And I know I also definitely have to shout out East Van. Our dean, Rickey Yada, is here, and he is a graduate of Killarney Secondary. So special prizes for any Killarney students who are here with us in the audience today. Looks like we've got quite a few students here from the Vancouver area and the Lower Mainland. Looks like perhaps some from maybe Edmonton or elsewhere in Canada as well. We've got people joining us from other places on the west coast of Canada. We've got, that probably looks like somewhere between, maybe on, I think that's probably Ottawa, that star there. And then we've also got people joining us from outside of North America as well. So from places in Asia and all around the world. So it is wonderful to see you here with us today. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to take a moment and clear our annotations. And we'll move along to introduce everyone that we've got with us today. So as I said, my name is Ella. I am one of the academic advisors at LFS Student Services. You'll get to know there's a few other advisors in our team as well, and you're welcome to work with any of us that you're able to connect with or that you find a connection with. We're here to support you all throughout your journey from the very start of your time at UBC all the way through to graduation, and making sure that you know all your academic options, you know about the resources that are there to support you, and to make sure that you're finding ways to build connections between what you do in the classroom and outside. I'm very lucky today to be supported by our team of LFS student ambassadors. We have two of the three of them here with us today. Jason and Wing are here today, and they are both current LFS students, Jason in the Global Resource Systems program, and Wing in the Food, Nutrition, and Health program. And then Yolanda's not here today, but if you're joining us for any of our other LFS Welcomes You presentations, you might see Yolanda at some of those. And she is a brand new graduate of the Applied Biology program. We also have with us a couple others, another student and a professor as well, and we'll introduce you to them a little bit later on as we get into our agenda. So let me tell you a little bit about what's coming up. We're going to start with a welcome to the faculty and a special welcome from the Dean of the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, Dean Rickey Yada. Then we'll spend some time talking about the programs that are available within LFS. You can learn a little bit more about the program that you've been admitted to, as well as the other programs that make up our faculty and what the experiences of students have been while in those programs. And then we'll spend lots of time talking about your next steps so that you're prepared for whatever's coming up next to accept your offer of admission, get ready for course registration, and get ready for arrival at UBC in the fall, as well as answering your questions. We know you must have lots of questions to help make a big decision, and that is absolutely okay. We are here to help you with those questions. To start us off, though, I am very honored to be able to welcome the Dean of the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, Rickey Yada. Rickey, take it away.
Oh, well, thanks, Ella, and welcome to the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. I'm Rickey Yada. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, and I'll start off with an apology. I don't know if anyone's had an implant, but I lost a tooth biting into a plum. And you go, a plum? Well, I actually hit the pit and broke off a tooth. And actually the tooth beside the one that was broken off was kind of weakened. So I had them both taken out. And then you have to get what they call a bone graft. And so they put bone into your mouth where those teeth were just to shore it up. And so I'm wearing a mask, not because I have COVID, but the operation is pretty invasive. So hopefully you don't have to go through that. So I apologize if I sound kind of muffled because I am talking to you through a mask. But I first want to acknowledge where I'm speaking to you from. I'm in Ottawa, Ontario, and I saw that, Ella, on the annotation of the map. There may be a student from Ottawa. And so if you're in the Ottawa area, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the Anishinaabe Algonquin territory. And these are the people who have occupied the territories for millennia and who have nurtured and cultured the lands that they're on. So I hope you, wherever you are, will acknowledge the Indigenous lands that you're coming from. So I want to first of all say congratulations. Getting an offer of admission to UBC is a huge accomplishment. So the students on this call, as well as those who aren't on the call, you've made a huge step, and we're so proud that you're coming to UBC, and we're so happy if you're going to end up in Land and Food Systems, and I look forward to seeing you in September. So one of the things I'll talk to you about is, and I think you saw evidence of this when you're trying to annotate the map, and someone, Ganelle, I think you were trying to figure out how to annotate where you are from, and how people jumped in to actually try to help you out. Well, if there's something that you'll soon find out when you come to UBC is LFS is known as a friendly faculty. And we come to that honestly because the students, staff, faculty go out of their ways to make you feel comfortable. And I think that's the thing that people often say as they leave the faculty. This is my home away from home. And I hope that if you do join us in September, you'll get that immediate feeling. So I wanted to talk to you about why is LFS so special? And I'll give you a personal experience. So Ella indicated that I grew up in East Vancouver, probably not far from where Ella lives now. And I went to a high school called Killarney, and there's oftentimes people, students who come from Killarney, so that's wonderful. But I did all my degrees here at UBC. I'm a food scientist by training. So I did my bachelor's, my master's, and my doctorate here. And it was a place I grew up in. And you wonder, how could you grow up and do all your degrees in one faculty? Because it was a friendly faculty, and it still is. And the value of my degree in food science is because, and I'll talk about this a little bit later on, is because you work on real life problems, current real life problems. So if you talk to people, what are the issues that people are concerned about? Climate change or resiliency, food security, food sustainability. These are all issues that the students, staff, and faculty in LFS work on. So you actually get to apply some of the principles that you learn in the classroom to real life situations. And we're very, very fortunate in our faculty that we have two living labs, really. One called the UBC Farm, which is on campus. It's a beautiful place where we do research and teaching, and people come from the city to visit, to learn about how we grow food. And we also have a dairy, which is about an hour and a half from Vancouver. And it's a fully functional dairy. It has about 500 head of milking cows. And students do research on the dairy cows, both to see how the production is going, but we have a very strong program in animal welfare. And we also have a very strong program in what they call reproductive physiology. So as you probably know, cows, when they become pregnant, give birth to calves. And we're trying to make that process and understand that process so that the animals aren't stressed. And so that's a big program within the faculty. And hopefully some of you will be in the applied animal biology program. Yolanda, one of the student advisors or ambassadors, sorry, is in that program. So as I said, one of the things that you'll learn about is about how do you tackle those real life situations. But it all starts with an introductory course or courses, LFS 100, which is a course that gives you an overview of all of the disciplines that we have in the faculty. We have another wonderful program called the Land One program, which looks at all of the issues that we're dealing with. And as I said, things like food security, climate resiliency, and you develop a cohort of friends, which is a wonderful thing. And it's a joint program with our colleagues in forestry. But we also have a learning portal called Roots, R-O-O-T-S, sorry, yeah, there's two S's. And I'm sure you'll learn more about that. You'll also, during this session, learn about the next steps for registering in your courses, as well as accepting your offer of admission. But what I'm really excited about is that you get a chance to meet some of our students. Wing and Jason, current students in our faculty, who will share their own experiences in LFS and at UBC. For some of you, this may be the first time away from home, and that's scary enough, but hopefully Wing and Jason will give you a sense of comfort. In addition, you'll hear from one of our iconic and just wonderful instructors, Professor Lindsay Koch, who teaches at LFS 100, which is a first-year course that all LFS students will take. So once again, welcome and congratulations. We hope to see you in September, and we're so lucky to have you with us today. So Ella, Wing, Jason, Lindsay, eventually, I'll turn it back over to you. But as I said, I look forward to meeting you all in person come September. And one of the things I'll say is, I think we have a uniform, don't we, Ella? And that's, you have to wear shorts.
Well, maybe not all of us have to wear shorts, Ricky,
okay.
but you have to wear shorts so we can recognize you on campus.
Yeah. So I look like I'm someone who's gone to a private school that has grown up and never left the uniform. So once again, welcome, and I'll turn it back over to you, Ella. Thank you very much.
Ricky.
And I apologize, I'm going to leave soon. I'm in the midst of another meeting, but again, welcome.
Thank you, Ricky. It was so lovely to have you here, and to thank you for welcoming all of our new students in. Like Ricky said, he's known on campus for wearing shorts every single day, so he's easy to spot when you see him walking around campus. Very tall, shorts, high socks. You'll see him coming. He would love to talk to you about LFS. He would love to talk to you about what you're doing in the faculty, to get to know you. He's also very interested in talking to you about potato chips, because that's what he did his research on as a food scientist.
Yeah, wonderful thing to do research on, Ella, boy.
I'm glad you did that research, because I enjoy those potato chips.
Okay, thanks very much, Ella.
Thanks, Ricky. All right, so we have lots of chances for you to ask questions today. We are going to hold most of those questions till later on. And we'll use a program called Slido to gather your questions. Slido lets you post your questions anonymously. So if you have a question and you're a little bit worried that maybe someone else would think, I don't really know how you didn't already know that, don't worry, you can ask it anonymously and we'd be happy to answer it. If you go to www.slido.com and put in LFS Welcome as your event code, you'll be able to post your questions there, or you can also see the questions that other students are asking. And if someone else has the same question that you're wondering about, you can upvote it and get it up to the top of the list so that we know that that's something that lots of people are wondering about today. We'll hold those questions throughout the presentation. And then come to them at the end. We'll also have a section just for questions for Professor Lindsay Cuff after she speaks. So if you had questions specifically about what it's like to work with professors, what to expect in your classes as an LFS student, Lindsay would be a great person to ask those questions too. So we need to give you something to ask about. So let's start answering a little bit about what you need to know about the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. What exactly is LFS? And I'm sure that's not going to be the last time you hear that question, because I'm sure that your friends and family, if you decide to come to LFS, are going to say, what are you studying at UBC? What program? I'm not sure I really know that. We are really lucky to be in a pretty unique position within LFS. And I think the best way to describe what LFS is it's science together with social impact. So we're learning those scientific principles that allow us to be world leaders in integrated research, but also connecting education and service to address critical global issues around human health and a sustainable food supply. So you're not just learning formulas and abstract ideas, you're learning how those ideas and concepts apply in real world situations, how they can help us to create healthier communities, how they can help us to reduce our impact on the environment around us, how people connect and relate on these scientific areas, and how these principles have developed and how we gather knowledge in different ways all around the world. So there's so many amazing things that you can learn about as a student in LFS. And I think one of my favorite things about it is that you're going to get the chance to take all that knowledge and during your degree, not after your degree, learn about how it connects into real world projects and real world ideas that are impacting the communities close to you and all around the world. Of course, it doesn't hurt to know that you're in a program that is really well regarded and highly ranked. In the most recent World University Rankings produced by QS, UBC and our programs were ranked as #1 in Canada and #16 in the world in agriculture and forestry. We're really proud of our history and our connection to agriculture. If you don't know, before we were called the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, we were called the Faculty of Agricultural Sciences, and way back before then, the Faculty of Agriculture. And we were one of the original faculties at the university when it was founded over 100 years ago. So they'll be joining a tradition that has long history of excellence in these areas. So a little bit more about what you can expect as a student at LFS. You will be at a big university. There's no denying that UBC and UBC's Vancouver campus are enormous. But within that big university community, there's lots and lots of different ways that you can get connected, lots and lots of different ways that you can build the experience that you want while being in a bit of a smaller community. We currently have just over 1,800 students studying in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. So even though we're in this big university campus of over 40,000 undergraduate students, only 1,800 of them are part of the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. And as you start to get to meet your classmates, get to meet people that are involved in the same activities you are, you'll build community and you'll get to know some more of those friendly faces that are part of the community. While you're studying with us, you'll be addressing local and global issues. So, like I said, not just abstract ideas, but real world solutions are coming up from the work that you're doing, and you're getting a chance to apply that knowledge right away through your core series classes and through lots of the other projects and hands-on work that you'll do as a student. Hands-on is definitely a big part of it. We don't want you just to be thinking ideas and putting them down in your notebooks. We want you to be going out into the world and applying and using that knowledge for good. So being able to get work experience through the cooperative education program, going out to see the world on an exchange opportunity, getting involved as an undergraduate researcher so you can help to develop new knowledge. There's so many ways that you can use the knowledge that you're building and use your education in real world applications as a student in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. And we're going to get to hear a little bit about some of those all throughout our presentation today. We're really lucky to have students joining us who've had many different experiences and been involved in a lot of these different opportunities throughout their time at UBC. And I want to introduce our first student speaker today. Jason is one of our LFS student ambassadors. He's also a fourth-year student in the Global Resource Systems program at UBC. And I want to introduce him and give him a chance to tell you a little bit about how he decided to come study in LFS.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Ella. My name is Jason. Yes, I'm a fourth-year student in the Global Resource Systems program. I'm from Vancouver, and I originally started out in the Applied Animal Biology program in my first year, and I decided to transfer to the GRS program my second year. You'll learn more about the GRS program a little later in the presentation. But ever since high school, I knew I wanted to join LFS because for me, I always did really specialized programs in high schools. When in grade 8, I did the pre-AP incentive program. And then in grade 11, I did the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program. And through those two programs, I've always been in a cohort-based system, and I always really appreciated community and being with the same class of similar students. And so through the LFS Core Series class and through just the faculty itself, I really appreciate being able to be part of a community and being able to be part of with a group of students that have similar passions as I do. So I'll share a few photos from my time in LFS. During my time, I joined the LFS Undergraduate Society, and so that's pretty much like a student council, but for all the students in the faculty. I was able to meet a lot of friends. The bottom right photo is our annual carnival. We had our second one this year since the pandemic, and it was really successful. It's really nice being play carnival games with your friends. And we also have Dunk the Dean. So this year, Rickey got dunked, and you'll see also your favorite professors and your favorite student services staff also get dunked as well. So that's a really fun annual event we have. On the top right, I have a photo of me in front of the Ueno Temple in Tokyo. So I did my research around digital environmental activism. And so I had the opportunity to attend a research conference at the Agricultural University in Tokyo, where I presented my research with other students from across the world. And so that was just one of the days where we went around, and I was able to see some sites in around Japan. One really great thing about being an LFS, we have opportunities to go on Go Global. So students have the chance to go on exchange or to do a Go Global seminar, which is a class somewhere across the world. And so apart from my research conference in Tokyo, I'll also be going on exchange to the National University of Singapore in September, which I'm super excited about. And lastly, I really like that I'm able to be involved with the faculty and pursue my passions. So I'm really interested in climate change and corporate responsibility. And so on the top left, you'll see me, that's a picture of me competing in a case competition with UBC with students not only in LFS, but also in other parts of the university like Sauder, the School of Business, and also the Faculty of Arts and the Faculty of Science as well. And so, yeah, that's my time at UBC. I'll be graduating next year, but overall, it has been a really friendly experience. As Rickey mentioned, the community part really makes a really big difference. And I'm so glad about the friends and the community I've made, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have during the Q&A later on.
Thank you so much, Jason, and thanks for sharing a bit about your experiences. Jason's been involved in a lot of different activities, but they're not the only activities that you can get involved in. There's many different ways. So maybe if climate change isn't your passion and you're really passionate about using nutrition to improve human health, or maybe you're really interested in building communities and bringing people together. There's all sorts of different ways you can get involved, and we'll talk more about some of those later on. So Jason mentioned he's a part of the Global Resource Systems program. It is one of 4 different undergraduate degree programs that we offer within the Faculty of Land and Food Systems. So if you're coming to UBC from high school, you're graduating high school this year, you're probably coming to us in either the Applied Biology or Food, Nutrition, and Health program. These are our 2 programs that you can enter into directly after high school graduation. And then we have 2 programs that you can enter after your first year of university study. So those are the Global Resource Systems program and the Food and Resource Economics program. Those are programs that you could apply to transfer into from either applied biology or food nutrition and health, or if you have friends after first year that are jealous of what a great experience you're having as an LFS student, they could also transfer in from other faculties across the university as well. So let's talk a little bit more about the Food Nutrition and Health program. This is our biggest degree program within the faculty, and we offer a number of different majors. The nice thing to know is if you see something within this list that gets you excited, that's perfect. If you see more than one thing on this list that gets you excited, that's even better because you don't need to pick your major until after your first year of study. So if there's a few things in here that you're thinking might be the right option for you, but you don't really know which one you want to go for, that's okay. Something you'll get a chance to explore and learn about while you're a student at UBC. We don't expect that you have your entire life already figured out before you've even graduated from high school. There's still some room to make some decisions while you're here, and maybe even room to change your mind. So if you didn't really know about food science and you never really thought food science was something you wanted to study, but you come here and you try a food science class and you love it, then maybe you might change your plans up and adjust your program to pursue some of those passions. So within food, nutrition, and health, we have 4 of our majors listed here. Dietetics is one of our smaller majors, but it is a really specialized professional program. It's a program that specifically allows you to pursue registration as a registered dietitian. So this is an allied health professional role that helps people with making medical adjustments to their diets, helps work in hospitals and other healthcare settings to make sure that people's diets are nutritionally sound and that they're able to seek nutritional supports for their health and well-being. We also offer within the degree Food Nutrition and Health, the Food Nutrition and Health major. You'll also hear students call this the F&H General major. This is our most flexible option. So it allows you to pick and choose courses from a number of different areas across the F&H program, as well as complementary areas from other areas. So maybe you're thinking you want to work with people to make around healthy decision making in nutrition. And so you're going to take some nutrition classes, but you're also going to take some psychology classes, and you're also going to take some counseling classes to help people think about how they make decisions, to help them, people in that decision-making process. That's something that you could do within the Food Nutrition and Health program because it's got that flexibility that allows you to build in complementary areas as well. Food science is the study of the chemistry, microbiology, and engineering of. So if you've ever wondered how they decide what the due date is on a food that's going to expire, how they package food, make sure that it stays crispy, or how they decide to create an ice cream bar so that the chocolate doesn't melt on the outside, but it's also not so hard that you can't bite through it. That's all food science. So developing food products, adjusting for people's nutritional and dietary needs through the development of food products. We're very lucky to have a food science student here with us today. Christopher's close to the end of his degree, and he's going to be able to tell us maybe a little bit about some of the things he's done to learn more about food science or where his career options might be taking him next. And then nutritional science is all about how we intake food and different nutritional supplements and how it impacts our health. So how does what we eat impact how we live and how we feel? What do we need to eat to stay healthy, and how's that different between me and someone else, maybe depending on our age, on our racial background, on our stage in life, on our gender. And how all those concepts can integrate together. So lots of different really cool things you can learn about as an F&H student. We do also offer a dual degree with the Faculty of Education. So if you'd like to become a foods teacher in a high school, that might be a good option for you. Or if you say, I love food science, I love nutritional science, I don't know if I can choose between them, you could do a double major. We do also offer a double major in food and nutritional sciences. So lots of great options there. Next up, applied biology. We have 2 different majors available within applied biology. Again, some flexibility built in for you because you don't pick your major until your 2nd year. So if you see some things here that sound exciting to you, but you aren't sure which one's the most exciting to you yet, well, that's something we'll figure out during 1st year. Applied animal biology is the study of animal physiology, behavior, welfare, and ethics. So if you wanted to learn more about different animals, how we take care of them, the role of animals in society, applied animal biology is a great option for you. We've got a picture here on the screen of someone out at the dairy that Rickey mentioned, doing some hands-on research and work with the dairy cattle. And that's probably someone who's studying, I'm guessing, applied animal biology. We also have within the applied biology program, sustainable agriculture and environment. So this looks at sustainability, food security, rural and urban agriculture, and biodiversity. So how can we develop a robust and strong food system that allows us to grow and produce the food that we need to support our local populations? How can we make the best use of the produce that's able to grow locally? How do agricultural needs differ in different environments? These are all things that you could learn about as a student in sustainable agriculture and environment. So hopefully some things that sound exciting to some of you out in the audience today. Of course, we also have our second year entry programs, and these are definitely ones that you can talk to us about during your first year while you're doing that exploration, because maybe the right way to pursue the things that you're interested in will be through one of these options. Global resource systems and food and resource economics are programs that allow you to focus on solutions to address our expanding population and increase demand on resources and food supply. So it could center on local and international resources and economics and issues. And it's something that you can transfer into from either food, nutrition, and health or applied biology after your first year. So if that's something that you're thinking about or interested in, we can definitely talk more about that. Global resource systems, you get to pick a region of the world that you want to study. You get to pick a resource that you want to focus on. It could be a physical resource like water management, but it could also be a more abstract resource like access to healthcare, and then study that region and that resource with a multidisciplinary approach. In food and resource economics, we get to learn sort of about the business side of the food system and of resource management. So looking at how can we make the most of our resources, how can we ensure access to our resources, and how does that change in different global environments and business markets. So I mentioned that in first year, you don't need to pick your major. That's because in your first year, we're really going to focus on building your academic foundation. So you're going to take courses from a number of different disciplines to help prepare you for your program and your major. That's going to be, for the most part, a lot of science courses because all of our degrees are science degrees. So hopefully it gets you excited to hear that next year you're going to take some chemistry, some biology, some math, maybe some physics, depending on your major. We also have LFS 100, which is a course that all of our first year students take as an introduction to the faculty and the university to help you get excited about what you're going to learn about in LFS, learning about what exactly it means to think in a systems thinking kind of way. And we'll, of course, have a course to help you in communicating academically. Most of you hopefully will take LFS 150 to be that course to help you learn about academic communication and scientific communication and how it can benefit all of the other courses that you're going to take throughout your degree. During that first year, hopefully you've gotten a chance to talk to lots of students in different majors, to meet, to talk to professors and to learn more about all the different options within your degree. And in most programs in second year, that's when you'll declare or apply for the major that you're interested in. So at that point, you'll get into some higher level science courses and you'll get into more of your program specific courses. So maybe that's going to be biochemistry, statistics, organic chem, as well as things that are specific to your discipline, like introduction to food science or introduction to nutrition, introduction to soil science. One course that all of our students take in the second year is LFS 250, which is a part of our Land, Food, and Community course series. That allows students to see how all of our different disciplines can work together to build a robust and healthy food system, and to see how all the knowledge that you're building within the university can help apply to situations in our local community as well. As we continue to build that experience and build into areas where you know that you have more and more interest, In your third and fourth year, that's when you're going to take courses that are more focused on your particular discipline and your area of study. So probably if you're in food, nutrition, and health, you're going to have more F&H courses. If you're in applied biology, you're going to have more Applied courses. Maybe you'll be complementing them with some specific courses from other areas and disciplines that are relevant and related. You're also going to have the opportunity to build in more different experiences that are optional, but that you might want to opt into. So things like taking a co-op term and getting some paid work experience as a part of your degree. Going on a practicum where you get to build working experience with a mentor that's related to your academic study. Getting out into the field and doing field studies in a real world environment. Going on exchange and studying abroad, or maybe leading an individual research project through a directed studies program. That's all lots of exciting stuff to think about, but we want to make sure that you're starting by thinking about what your first year is going to be like, and you get a chance to hear a little bit about what you're going to be learning and what your classes will be like as a student at LFS. We're very lucky to have with us today Lindsay Cuff. Lindsay is one of our professors in LFS, and she's the lead instructor for LFS 150, Scholarly Writing and Argumentation. So I want to pass it over to Lindsay to tell you a little bit about what you can expect in your classes.
Thanks, Ella. Hi, everybody. Welcome here. It's nice to see you all. I'm happy I could join you today. One thing I just want to start off by saying, and I think you're starting to maybe get this idea, is that LFS puts so much thought and care and attention into the first year experience. And I feel very lucky that I get to be part of that, teaching LFS 150, which is an academic writing class. LFS decided that, they're going to make a course that's about academic writing, but academic writing in our discipline. So it brings students together into a small class size of maximum 30 students. And instead of just, learning how to write scholarly writing in a vague sense that maybe, could apply in a lot of different contexts, we're really looking at how can we join these scholarly conversations and this research that's happening in our faculty. So it's really exciting for me because I get to see students start to light up and think about questions and curiosities that they have that come from their lives, that come from the world, and then guide them through a research project that they then write about. And just see that enormous growth that happens in first year. So I consider that a great privilege of my job as one of the first year instructors at LFS. So what else can I tell you about first year? As Ella said, LFS is a science faculty, so there are definitely a lot of science courses, and I'm not going to lie, they are challenging. But one thing I say to my students all the time is that, first year university, it can be hard, but I think what you learn coming and what I see my students learn is that they can do hard things. And that is a really exciting moment of growth and resilience when you arrive here and you have the support in place that can nurture you towards that reaching of your goals and those hard things. So yeah, I think for me as a professor, I just adore the LFS students. I find that students who end up in our faculty are students that are really passionate about that connection between science and between the world and that applied aspect of it. So I feel inspired all the time in terms of my own questions and the way that I want to engage in scholarship in the world. So that's also very exciting for me to be part of. What can you expect? Let me talk a little bit, I guess, about my classroom. One thing that most of the professors in LFS are really committed to is like hands-on experiential learning. And I would say even in a writing class, that is a lot of my focus. So how can we take the things that you're interested in, the questions that you are having, and help you to explore those? So we do a lot of small group work, some reflection, a little bit of writing. We even go outside in my class to try to write our observations, write about the lands. We do problem-based learning. Right now, I'm actually working with a team. I'm in interviews tomorrow, but I'm hiring a team of undergraduates to start to create some multimedia for my course, so some podcasts, some place-based videos about researchers in the field. So I would say that the professors in LFS and the community in LFS is one that is innovative in terms of research, but also innovative in terms of pedagogy. And that's a pretty special mix. And when I say pedagogy, I know that's a word we throw around in the university a lot. I really just mean teaching and learning. So that's kind of, I guess, an introduction, but I'll be curious if any of you have questions for me, a real live LFS professor.
So we're going to open up to questions for Lindsay right now. So we'll take a little pause in our presentation. If you have questions that you want to ask Lindsay, you can feel free to type them in the chat on Zoom, or feel free to raise your hand using the actions in the menu at the top of the page. And you're welcome to, we can then call on you to unmute and ask your question on the microphone if you'd like. You know, especially on Zoom, it's always nice to hear questions and to know that people are out there and listening and understanding, to get feedback. So feel free to put your questions in on the chat, or to raise your hand if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Lindsay about what you might expect in her classes, what classes are like when you're a student at university, maybe what's the big difference between classes from high school to classes in university, what they might not expect would be different or would know that would be different coming from a high school classroom. Any questions that you want to know?
And I know can be like really putting yourself out there to ask a question in this environment. So obviously no pressure in that. Let me see. Okay, what's the level of difficulty compared to high school? What's the major difference? Yeah, that's a tough one to answer. I think what I see as the biggest challenge in terms of difficulty observing my students is time management is a lot trickier in university. So my students say that in high school, you get time to work on things in class. In university, there's not very many classes that actually give you that time in the class to work on things. So you're going around campus to multiple different places, and then you have the workload on top of that. So you have the lectures and everything in that, and then you have the workload. So I think that learning how to learn in first year, because it's a different type of learning than it is in high school. Suddenly you're expected that you're like this apprentice scholar in this environment, and that you know how to manage your time and your workload and your tasks. Luckily, LFS has courses that do help you learn how to learn, which I think that students benefit from greatly. How many people on average are in one class? So in my class, we have 30, which is quite small. That would be probably the smallest class that you would be in your first year at UBC. So as a result, I see like a lot of friendships and connections get made in my class. But then you will be in larger classes all the way to like, I would say 250, 350 students. Yeah.
I'll just throw in there, Lindsay, if you're in one of those big classes, a lot of the time for your first year classes, there'll be a big lecture, and then there might be a lab or a discussion group or a tutorial that meets less per week, but in a smaller group. So you don't have to be able to put your hand up and ask a question in front of 350 people. You might be able to do that in the discussion group or on Canvas online after class too.
Absolutely, yes. And just on that note, I also teach in the Land 1 program, which is a cohort program of that Ella's going to talk about a bit later with forestry and LFS students. So you do go with that cohort of 50, maximum 50 students through a lot of your core classes, which is nice. Okay, what do you recommend I can do to prepare for reading and writing at university? Yeah, I would say, I mean, I think the biggest thing that my students come to my class with is that they have all these beliefs about who they are as writers and what they can do. And I think start to kind of think about those and maybe let those go. There's always someone who's told you like, you're not a very good writer, or you're not a good reader. So I recommend the biggest thing you can probably do is just start to do something like free writing, where you just write 5 minutes a day without thinking. Maybe start to read a little bit of scholarly articles. I know that sounds a little bit intense for a lot of people, but just to start to get a feel for the language and the genre. But honestly, we'll guide you through all of that when you get here. Okay, let me see. I've got a couple of direct messages. Yeah, okay, so I have, the question is about a student who's an IB student, and do I think that will help transition into university writing, or will it be completely different? So I get a number of students in my class who come from IB, and I think that IB definitely does prepare you for research and writing in university, in that how to use evidence, how to do research. I definitely see that students who come from the IB program, they are more prepared in my class, but I would say that they do definitely learn something in my class, because scholarly writing, that is part of a research university, the way that we communicate within our faculty and in, I would say, all the faculties at UBC, it's different. It's a different genre. It's connected to the conversations that we're part of in the university. And so in high school and even in IB, the writing is classroom writing. It's, you know, it's kind of a simulation. Whereas when you're in university, it becomes really connected. Your profs are all writing scholarly writing and sharing their research. So I would say that that would be the main difference. Yeah. Suggestions for time management and self-discipline. Oh, I think that's going to be your journey probably in first year. And I'm sure the students can talk to that later, the student ambassadors as well. But I definitely recommend, I don't know if any of you run, but I like to run like distance running, and sometimes it gets boring and you have to like make yourself run to different trees and different paths along the way. So in terms of time management, like we write a research paper in my class, I really help students to break that down into pieces. Like, I'm going to do this at this time, make schedules for when you're going to do everything, and hold yourself to it, because it can, anxiety is a big thing, right? It's a real thing, writing anxiety, academic anxiety. And I think just acknowledging it and admitting that you're struggling, and then coming up with strategies, reaching out for help. Our advisors and our student service teams in LFS, I think, are honestly some of the best humans around, and help so much to support our students. So yeah, it's a long-winded answer, but I don't think I see any other questions from me right now, if anyone has any last minute.
Well, if that's all the questions for Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us today, Lindsay. We really appreciate your time and getting to hear from you. If you want to connect with Lindsay again, when your course schedule comes up, check out the LFS 150 class options and see if maybe signing up for a class with Lindsay will fit in with your plans for your first year. I'm sure she would love to have you in class next year and work with you on developing your scholarly voice.
Thanks, Ella. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
All right, so Lindsay mentioned that she is one of the professors who teaches in our Land 1 program, and I wanted to highlight this because if you're interested in Land 1 or you haven't heard of Land 1 and you want to know more about it, it is a great option for you that's available if you're coming into your first year in LFS, in any of our programs. It allows you to see how different disciplines are interconnected with each other as a student in LFS and how the different disciplines between LFS and forestry are also connected, and allows you to explore ideas from both Western and Indigenous perspectives. It's, like Lindsay mentioned, a cohort-based model where all the students who are in Land 1 will have all their courses together. So some of your courses will be smaller courses like Lindsay's. When you're in your bigger classes though, so you're going to your biology class or your math class, you won't be just LFS or Land 1 students in those classes. But if you missed something and you didn't write it down in your notes, you know that even if you're not in biology class, if you go talk to someone in between classes, you'll be able to know that that person was also in your biology class. Everyone in Land 1 is in all of those courses together. It's a really great option to kind of make your own community within your first year. And if you're interested in learning more about it, we do have our information session for Land 1 tomorrow night. So you can sign up at the same form where you signed up for this event. And we'll have another one of our instructors from the Land 1 program there to tell you more about it, talk a little bit about some of the cool things they do to integrate field work and field trips into your learning and how it can help you connect with the different disciplines that you're learning about, as well as connect with the discipline that you eventually want to go on to continue and study with throughout your degree as a student in LFS. So Jason's put the link to sign up in the chat, so if you are getting excited about Land 1 as an option, make sure to check that out. And if you're thinking about applying to Land 1, make sure that you apply by May 15th. That's the application deadline specifically for the Land 1 option in your first year. So we have lots of different supports available for you as a student in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems to help make sure that you're going to be successful and to support your learning, your experience as a student at UBC. And we want to make sure that you know all about these right from the very beginning. So lots of different ways that you might need support or might be looking for support. So things like your academics, we do have free group tutoring available through our student government, the Alma Mater Society or AMS. We also have LFS and forestry specific options through our peer assisted study sessions, which are called PASS for short. These are sessions that are led by upper year students in our faculty who've done well in some of our first and second year courses before, and they lead sessions each week that you can drop in and join whenever you'd like to help you learn a little bit more about how you might study in particular for biology or for soil science or for math, and some of the tricks and tips that they use to help you to be able to learn and absorb that material to be successful in those courses. Of course, while you're a student, part of being a successful student is going to be taking care of your health and well-being. And we do have quite a few services and supports on campus to support that, whether that's your mental health or your physical health. Resources and caregivers are available to help you in making sure that you stay healthy throughout your time as a student in the university. You might be thinking further ahead, so you're getting into where you're going to study right now, but you also are probably thinking, you know, what am I going to do with that, and what can I do after studying, fill in the blank, what kind of job am I going to be able to get? And that's something we want you to be thinking about all throughout your time. We do have on campus the UBC Career Center. That's for all students to help support you in finding work during your studies and after graduation, to support you in things like workshops around writing your resume, applying for jobs, preparing for interviews. We also have within our faculty our own LFS career strategist who meets with students one-on-one to answer questions about preparing for careers, exploring possible interests, getting help with reviews on resumes or cover letters. And Rob also is integrated into some of your courses. So some of those career pieces you'll see in LFS 100, LFS 250, and LFS 350, as Rob works with students to help build their career ready skills all throughout their time as a student in LFS. And finally, the rest of our student services team is here to help you and support you. So if you aren't sure exactly where you can go or what options might be out there for something that's a challenge for you or for something that you've always wanted to be able to pursue, the Student Services Office is a great place to stop by. We are available in person or online. So if you're in McMillan, come by and see us on the 3rd floor. We will share information with you about how to get in touch with us online or join Zoom advising options throughout the summer or before you arrive on campus, or even if it's just a day where you don't have classes and you're not coming out to campus and you want to ask a question, you can definitely connect with us online as well. We're always happy to answer questions. That's what we're there for. So don't feel bad about coming to ask questions. We love to hear from you and know what you're looking for support with and what you're looking for on campus. And Jason's popped in to the chat. I almost forgot to mention, Rob, our career strategist, is running a workshop on Thursday as a part of LFS Welcomes You, all about careers in LFS. So helping to think about what kind of career might be connected to your studies as a student in LFS and what kind of skills are you building throughout your time here to help you in being able to pursue your career goals. Ricky mentioned earlier our LFS Roots program, and this is really going to be where we give you your first introduction to lots of these different supports and services that are available to you as an LFS student. Roots is an acronym that stands for Reach Out, Orientation, Transition, and Study Skills. And it is a program just for students in LFS and just for students in their first year in LFS. It is an online course run through our learning management system in Canvas. So you'll get a chance to practice learning to access courses over the summer so you can see what you expect, because that's the same system that all of your academic classes will also use. And that program is there to help you with being successful as a student, to help you get to know your LFS community and get connected with them before you even arrive on campus, and to help you get connected with the resources available to support your success as a student. We have different modules that are released all throughout the summer, every 2 weeks, and then once a month, all throughout your first year in the faculty, to help you get information that's when it's most relevant. So over the summer, we'll release information about picking your courses for first year, how to register for classes, what to expect at orientations, how to pack your bag for coming to campus, all the things that you'll want to know before you even arrive. And then through your first year, different topics that are relevant at that time of year. So when it's time to think about picking your majors, how do you pick your majors? How do you apply to majors? Which majors need applications? What to do or what to expect during your first university exam period and what exams will be like. Thinking ahead to applying for summer jobs, if that's something that you're thinking about doing after first year. So we'll have all sorts of information like that shared with you all throughout the year that you can access at your own time, online, whatever it makes sense for you. So after you've accepted your offer of admission to LFS, we'll send out an invitation to access Roots in mid-May, and then we'll continue to be in touch with you through Roots all through your first year. So you can look forward to that in your inbox a little bit later on this spring. So I have one more student speaker that I'm very excited to be able to introduce you to. Christopher is in his final year in the Food, Nutrition, and Health degree program. And he's here to share a little bit about some of the experiences he's had. So he's had 5 years to build up some experiences. And I know that he's had some pretty cool experiences as a student here. So I want to pass it over to him to share some of what he's done as a student at LFS.
Thank you, Ella. Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher Mulia. I am a fifth-year student studying food science at UBC. As Ella mentioned before, this is my final year. So if all things go smoothly and accordingly, and by that, I mean, if I pass all of my courses this term, I will be graduating this May. But just to give a little backstory about who I am, where I came from, I was born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia, a country, far, far away. It takes me roughly 22 hours by plane to get here. And there's no direct flight, so you have to transit in between, which is rough. I first came to Vancouver on August 2018, I think. So it was like 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. Back then, I was very clueless. I had no family members here, so everything felt very new and foreign. Some of you here might be able to relate to that. But don't worry, thankfully, there were so many available resources offered by the LFS faculty and UBC in general that first-year students like myself back then, could use to ease our transition into university life. And fast forward to 5 years later, here I am just wrapping up my undergraduate studies, speaking to all of you here who I'm assuming just wrapped up high school or maybe in the process of wrapping up high school. So essentially, we are sort of in a similar situations, but just at different academic stages. I just want to use my time today to share my favorite course and memory from my time as a food science student in UBC. So my favorite course of all time has to be FNH 425. It is a 6-credit research course where we get to work in groups of 3 to address a specific problem requested by a food company. It is a 4th-year course, so you probably need to wait quite a bit before you can take it. But let me tell you, it is definitely something to look forward to, especially if you're in the food science stream. I was lucky enough to work with this company called The Very Good Food, who specialize in meat analog food products. So things like vegan meatballs, vegan sausage, vegan patties, you name it, they have it. My group specifically was in charge of creating a cooking instruction for their newest vegan meatball line. And I think over the past 8 months, we've cooked a total of 600, maybe 700 meatballs, which is a lot. And I don't think I'll order spaghetti and meatballs anytime soon because, to be honest, I've had enough. But anyways, the reason why this course is my favorite course is because I think it's not every day that you get to work with people directly from the industry. So I personally think that this course is the best platform for you to get a real taste and glimpse of how the food industry works and operates. If you're planning to major in food science, this is definitely something to look forward to. Another highlight in my undergrad journey has to be my involvement with LFS ACE, which stands for LFS Academic and Career Engagement Team. In the 2 years that I've been involved with LFS ACE, I've progressed from being an events coordinator in my first year to an events team lead. In my second year with LFS ACE, I had the pleasure to plan and create so many amazing events, both virtually and in person, that are catered specifically towards LFS students. And through this involvement, I obviously gained a lot of hard skills, such as how to create a run sheet, how to host like a meeting, how to draft a floor plan, and so many other hard skills. But more than that, I feel like I also gained a newfound sense of confidence, leadership skills, and most importantly, great friends and mentors whom I adore and respect so much. So just to conclude, I just want to say that I am so grateful to be able to create so many amazing memories throughout my time as a student within the LFS faculty. And I do hope that all of you here will also be able to create as many, if not more, amazing, long-lasting memories throughout your journey within the LFS faculty. If you have any further questions for me, feel free to ask them during the Q&A session later. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Christopher. Christopher didn't mention what I think is the coolest thing that he's done, which he got to do a co-op placement in a chocolate factory, which I'm very jealous of that I wasn't a food science student. We have students work in Purdy's chocolates every year, and I think it's very, very cool when students get to be there in the production facility and do some quality testing. All right, so Christopher talked about a few of his highlights were of his time as a student in LFS. Maybe some of those are ones that you're excited to do, like taking FNH 425 and getting that project research experience. But maybe there's other things that you're looking forward to. So we've got a few of the different things that our students love to get involved with and some of the opportunities that you might seek out throughout your time. Up on the screen here. So Jason mentioned the LFS Undergraduate Society, our student government, our student council for students in LFS. If you're interested in getting involved, you can do that right from the very start with LFS US, because they do have a first year committee. So you'd be able to join that right in the fall when you arrive here. And I think that's how you got started, right, Jason? You were on the first year committee? Yeah. And then another great one that you could check out right away at the very beginning of your studies is LFS First. This is a welcome and orientation program that's run by a group through the LFS US to have peers welcome students into the LFS community and get to know other incoming first year students. You can learn more and sign up for LFS First over the summer leading up into your arrival in September. Probably the one that I make the most use of on the highlights here is Agora Cafe. It is a student-run cafe that is right in the basement of the Macmillan building. So they have great affordable lunches, snacks, and treats. And it's just a great place that's a center of the community where people get together, a great place to grab a quick and affordable bite to eat. Or if you want to get some experience in food prep or in working in retail food services, you could volunteer to be a part of the team that runs Agora. That's all student run. So all the students that run the cash, that prep the food, that put together the schedules are all students, mostly within LFS, but in many other faculties as well. If you like food and you like getting together to eat, then you'll also want to check out Wednesday night dinners. These are a tradition that are run by the LFS US as well, where we bring the community together for a dinner in the Macmillan building. So you can bring your containers and get together to eat and connect and build community with other LFS students every 2 weeks on Wednesday nights. The mentorship program is another one that you can get involved with right from the start. LFS mentorship connects LFS students with mentors who are alumni or staff and faculty within the faculty, so that you can get to know and get connected with people who are in the industry that you might be wanting to pursue, that have studied in the same area that you have, and learn a little bit about what their career journeys have been like, the things that they found valuable throughout their time. Mentorship is a great way to build your networking skills and get connected with other students in the faculty as well as our alumni staff faculty. So I think it's a great way to have an easy way to start asking people questions about, hey, what did you study and why did you study it and what did you think was most useful from your time here? Because they're expecting you to ask all those questions while you're a part of mentorship. And finally, the LFS ACE team, which Christopher mentioned, he was one of our team leads this past year. Wing's going to be a part of the ACE team next year. So if you attend one of our ACE team events, you might see her there. The academic and career engagement team is a group of students who put events and workshops on for their peers to help them in supporting their academic and career success as students at UBC. So I know someone asked earlier, what about best tips for time management? Time management is probably one of the workshops that we'll be running next year, so that we'll have some of our staff and student peers from the LFS or from the University Learning Commons give their best ideas on different time management techniques and tricks that have been really successful for students at the university. All of these opportunities, everything that we've talked about here, you're going to learn about through the newsletters, which I didn't mispronounce. It is a newsletter, but because we're all about food and we love food puns in the Faculty of Land and Food Systems, we call it the newsletters. It is a bi-weekly email that you receive throughout your time as a student at UBC. We also run a newsletters Instagram account where we post about upcoming events, ways to get involved, job opportunities, all sorts of different things that you'll want to know about as an LFS student. So keep an eye on your inbox to hear about everything that's happening within the faculty through the newsletters. All right, so we've given you lots to get excited about. We've probably raised lots of things that have brought up questions for you too. So we want to get into our Q&A. So if you haven't yet, Jason's just put the link up again to Slido, so you can begin to post questions there. I'll give you a minute to get some questions in, and I'll run just through a couple upcoming dates and deadlines to know, and then we'll get into our Q&A and we'll turn off across the recording. So this week we do still have 3 more days of LFS Welcomes You events coming up. Tomorrow night is Land 1. Wednesday we're going to have our program deep dives where you can talk to professors and students from the applied biology and food nutrition and health programs. And then on Thursday, Rob Kim, our career strategist, will be presenting careers in LFS. You can sign up for all of those events at the LFS Spring Welcome Events website, the same place where you signed up for this one. Don't worry, you can resubmit the form to sign up for another event if you didn't sign up for it initially and decide you do want to attend after learning more today. Jason's just put the link in the chat for you, so check that out if you're hoping to attend more events this week. We do have lots of dates coming up over the next little bit. The most important one to keep in mind is going to be the deadline to accept your offer of admission and pay your admission deposit. So double check your offer of admission letter that you received to confirm. For most students, you're probably looking at a May 1st deadline to accept your offer of admission, but check your letter because depending on your personal circumstances, you might have a slightly different deadline that you need to pay attention to. Later on in May, we'll invite you in to join Roots. May 15th will be the deadline to apply to the Land 1 program if that was a program option that you were interested in. And then we'll keep in touch with you all throughout the summer about other deadlines and upcoming opportunities through the Roots modules and announcements. Course registration for your first year courses happens starting on June 20th for first year students. If you're coming in as a transfer student, it might be a slightly different date for you. And then to the end of August and beginning of September, we'll have our orientation events happening for all incoming students. That includes Jumpstart and Imagine Day. And you'll learn more about those through Roots and over the summer. So hopefully I've given you lots of time. I'm going to pop up some of our contact information. So I encourage you to write this down. I encourage you to go ahead and follow the newsletters on Instagram right now, so you can start to hear now about things that are happening and coming up, and that you're already up to date on everything that's going on before you even arrive at UBC.